Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm doing this video today, kind of a consumer buyer beware, shopping for peptides. If you're shopping for peptides, I'm going to tell you how to do it. So, this video is for my school community. Um, I don't know if I can even put this on certain social media platforms. I get my stuff taken down all the time. So I created the school community for unfiltered, unbiased information um, about peptides and just some things that I've learned over the last 20 to 30 years. I've been a peptide, I've been a lab rat for 3 decades. I'm 48. Started started my lab rat journey back in high school when I was 17 years old. So yeah, I've got over 3 decades of doing things, basically injecting myself with PEDs, now what you call TRT, from places all over the world. Okay, and the goal, the pursuit was always muscle and strength. Made a lot of mistakes along the way. I've made those mistakes, so I can share with you now so you don't make those mistakes. I started doing peptides in 2004, so I've got 2 decades there. Probably more experience than anybody, quite honestly. A lot of the people that I follow, a lot of the experts, have really been in the game for the last 5 or 6 years. Some of them 2 to 3 years. The smartest people out there. I mean, and I follow the Trevor Bachmeyers, the Hubermans, the Gary Breckas, the Josh Holyfield. Josh is awesome. I think he puts out some great information. Check his stuff out. But I've been doing this stuff longer than he's been alive, I think, my guess. So anyway, again, I've made a lot of mistakes along the way, and I created this community to share with you what I can about peptides and hopefully help you avoid making some of the mistakes that I've made. So today's video is about buying peptides out of China in particular, because the misinformation, let me stop. I'm part of about 20 or 30 Facebook groups, peptide Facebook groups, with thousands and thousands of people all throughout the world that are in these groups. And people are sharing information. Unfortunately, a lot of information that they share is not accurate. So it's hard for somebody new getting into peptides to really understand what's real and what's not real, what's accurate, what's not. So I just, with the conversation this morning, and it's really every day, is that everything's out of China. Okay, well, that's not true. Okay, the fact is, about 80% of the raw material in peptides come from China, but Russia, Ukraine, and India are also countries that supply the raw material. Okay, so it's not just China. When you say everything's out of China, that's not true. Now, there's a big difference between getting raw material from a certain part of the country and then having a laboratory in that part of the country. Vitamin C, pretty much 99% of vitamin C out there is made in China. Okay, and we all take vitamin C. I can say this now on this platform without it being filtered. I don't trust labs for the most part, in China. That's maybe that's a little bit of a political statement. I think we're at war with them. So I'm just going to be straight. Fentanyl is from China, and it goes to Mexico, and through the cartels it comes up and it kills a lot of Americans. The source is China. Okay, so I don't trust the country. I don't trust anything really about it. Okay, that's my personal opinion. My cell phone's from China. My TV's from China. Half the shit in this house is from China. Okay, so it is what it is, but we're not injecting those things into our body. For many years, give you a little background on me. So this school community, I've got a lot of clients that know me that are joining this community, and I'm trying to make it a source where you can get really good information without having Facebook ban me, suspend me. I've gotten kicked off of Instagram, suspended. TikTok, account closed. Facebook, I am banned from posting in all the groups, all the real estate groups that I've created over the last 15 years. I can't even post in my own group until December of this year. They put a 1-year suspension on me. A lot of the groups that I'm involved in on Facebook, I can't post. I can comment, but I can't post. And that's not from the admin, that's from Facebook. Okay, so I really want to stay on Facebook. I've got 16 years of memories with my kids and them growing up, so I don't want to jeopardize that. I set up a second Facebook account for me to hopefully sneak and slide into some of these groups, and it's a freaking joke. But I'm going to tell you a story, and just about me is I again started doing steroids at 17, and my first bottle of steroids that I bought was in the gym parking lot of Gold's Gym, $150 from a dude. What's so funny is that here we are, 3 decades later, and that same bottle of testosterone cypionate, I can get a prescription from my doctor. My insurance will pay for it. I can pick it up at Walgreens or CVS, and it's called TRT. It's steroids, okay? So it's crazy how the world has evolved, and performance enhancers, PEDs, anabolics, steroids, peptides, they're all things that we're injecting into our body without the government's authorization, without the medical community's blessing. But we're doing it because we want to pursue something. Okay, so for me, a long time it's just been muscle and strength. Nowadays at 48, it's longevity, it's mental health, it's physical health, it's I want to live to be 100 and have a good life for the entire time. So yeah, my priorities have changed, but not long story short, but follow me here on this journey that I've had, is there was a point where for many, many years, I would say, well, for 15, 16, 17 years, we used to buy steroids. We'd go to a website, still exists. The website has pharmacies from all over the world, okay, from India, Ukraine, China, Mexico, and they all list their products out there. And we'd go in, if you could imagine, this is, geez, we barely had internet connection, that's how old I am. We'd pick out what we want, we'd order. Now, I'd have to go to Western Union, do a Western Union, go back to my computer and send the Western Union code. Western Union would always question, do you know who this person is? Is it a scam? You know, if it was a big amount, sometimes they wouldn't even let me do it. But we'd send the money, and then we'd sit back and wait a month and hope that a package arrives at our door. It's crazy how dumb we were, but I mean, that's what we did back then. And sometimes the package didn't arrive, and sometimes I would get a letter from customs. Mr. Johnson, we have a package for you. You're free to pick it up. Which I didn't, of course. So I lost some money during that process, and sometimes certain websites or whatever would just resend. So I've ordered a lot of stuff from China over the years, and I've injected a lot of stuff from China. This is real important, and I would just want everybody to know this, that I had an infection, a really, really bad infection. I was in Chicago. I was flying back over the 4th of July back to Arizona, and my hernia, where I had hernia surgery, the mesh got infected. Well, it was a staph infection, and I spent a week in the hospital, and it was really bad. Okay, you can die from a staph infection, and I had an infectious disease doctor in and out of my room every half hour, and they said, you know, if this turns septic, you could die. So it was serious. After about a week, I healed up or recovered enough to come home. Well, I had a big hole in my stomach, okay? This is a can of chew, but it was this wide and it was that deep. So I came home with a wound vac, and because I had this big open wound, I ended up getting MRSA. Not MRSA on my skin, but MRSA in the infection site. So I went back to the hospital, and I spent 3 weeks. I spent a total of a month in the hospital, and I can't overstate this. I almost died. During that time, I was buying from a particular lab in China, Dragon Pharma, and every time I did an injection, oh God, my leg would freeze up, and I was damn near paralyzed. Couldn't walk for days. I mean, just limping around, and really bad infections. Now, this is telling you how dumb I was, but because I was doing it because, I mean, it was kind of a sickness that I wanted to be bigger and stronger. And I was big and strong. Could bench press 405 for multiple times. One of the strongest guys in the gym. Every piece of equipment, you needed to add weights. I was strong. So it was an ego thing for me. And I was young and dumb, and I guess I regret, that I wouldn't do that now, okay? But I did, and then this is who I am and where I am now. Yeah, what you inject in your body can have consequences, okay? You could die. You could die. Now, I used Dragon Pharma for many, many years, and sometimes it was perfect, and sometimes I got that reaction. And I dealt with several infections over a long period of time. And I was too dumb to put 2 and 2 together, okay? So fast forward now to 2026, and now peptides. I started doing peptides in 2004. I was getting my peptides from a doctor in Scottsdale. And over the years, I was doing growth hormone releasing peptides. And I later found BPC and TB500, and I always use that for recovery. And I use Peptide Science, okay? And they just went out of business. They were out of Florida, super reliable, legit, clean, no problems. I thought it was a very good price what I was paying. I was paying like $150 for a bottle of BPC. But if I had a tricep tear or I had tendonitis, if I hit that for 5 days or 10 days, it was gone. So 150 to 300 bucks. That's how I used it. I didn't know that it had all these other benefits and that I could take it throughout the year to prevent injuries, and that it's good for gut healing and all these other things. So I've learned a lot over time, but I've been doing peptides really pretty regularly for about 20 years, okay? Now, where we are right now, peptides are just growing in demand. Everybody's talking peptides. And there's this misinformation that, hey, it's all from China, okay? Well, it's not, okay? 80% of the raw material is from China. That means that 20% is from somewhere else. Ukraine, Russia, India. So, as we're talking here, and as people are entering this peptide journey, and people are talking about peptides, and you're thinking about peptides, Facebook's so smart, if you even think about peptides, sure as shit, on your Facebook feed, it's just ads for peptides. And I'm sure several of you have clicked over and looked, and it's like, holy cow, these are really cheap. Well, they are. So, this video is about shopping for peptides. I sell peptides, so I'm going to tell you how to do it. I'm going to give you the rundown. Yeah, you're tempted, but you're tempted by price. Okay, maybe you're buying from me right now, and I think I offer a fair, competitive price, and I tell everybody, there's always going to be somebody cheaper. I try to be really competitive. I will price match legit competition, I guess, that if they're out of the US, I'm not gonna price match China. If they're out of the US and they have an address and a phone number and they're legit, I will, I'll price match. But a lot of my customers are super loyal, but I'm sure they've been tempted with lower prices. So let's look at it, okay? This is what I've done. A buddy of mine in Knoxville, we're kind of doing this together. So last year, I mean, this is kind of the step-by-step is, all right, I'm exploring some other options, okay? I want to find, a plan B, a plan C, a plan D. So I want to find a Chinese company and lab. There are legit ones. There are a lot of illegitimate ones. So how do you know the difference? Well, this is what you need to do if you're going to go down this route. Is a lot of times these Facebook ads are going to take you to like a WhatsApp, and there'll be a conversation from XYZ Labs. It could be a girl named Lucy or Lynn, whatever. You're in conversation with a rep from China or whatever country, and there's a couple hundred people in there, and they post their price list, and you can put your orders in that way. Now you have to buy. They don't take credit cards. I don't take credit cards either. I'll tell you why later. There's a real reason why nobody should take credit cards in peptide spaces. We could have our money taken from us at any time. So that's not a red flag. Crypto, direct wire transfer are usually the only way to pay. But if I wanted to test a lab from another country, this is what I would do. Is I would order a kit, and they're super cheap. It wouldn't be a big order because, again, you don't know who you're sending your money to. So if you want to gamble $100, you could probably afford to lose $100. If you want to get crazy and order, $2,000 worth of stuff, well, that's what's at risk. Because if they disappear tomorrow, they're on Facebook today, and you click and you order, that website could be gone tomorrow. Okay, no recourse. There's not an address, a phone number. You can't sue them. If you get sick, again, you can't sue them. There's no recourse. So you're taking a little bit of a gamble. But let's say you're a calculated gamble and it's just small. It's $100 for a kit and you get 10 bottles. Now, what my buddy and I do is he's going to take a bottle, I'm going to take a bottle. And we're still knuckleheads, so we're going to test it for you. We're going to research for you. I know exactly what kind of side effects and effects that Retta has on me, doing it as long as I have BPC. It's predictable. So if I have any other reaction outside of what's normal, it's bunk. You throw it away. But last year, when Nick and I started doing this, we did find a couple labs in China. Now, we did place an order and we got nothing. Okay, it was a small order, but sure as heck they disappeared. Another one was they take 5 to 7 days to process the order, and then it takes about a month to get there. So let's say that you're trying to rehab a torn bicep or tricep, need some BPC TB500. Well, you're not going to wait a month, okay? Or maybe, I'm just forewarning you, sometimes it takes a month. So what we do is entrepreneurs or lab rats, and we're in this space, is we are going to take 2 of these bottles and we're going to send one to an independent lab in the United States, which we're going to pay $300 for. And we're going to take another bottle and we're going to send it across the pond to an overseas laboratory, and they're going to test it there, and we're going to pay $400. So there we are. We're out $700 plus the 100. We're out $800. We get those lab results back, and it's legit because there is no association with with where we're buying it from. So if it says 99.6% pure, it's 99.6% pure. We have done this and we've sent it, it's come back 80% pure, which means 20% is plastics and toxins and something else. That means it goes in the trash, okay? So a lot of what you're seeing on Facebook, some of that is, it's garbage. It's garbage. Now, here's a red flag for you. If the company on Facebook provides a COA, that's a red flag. Okay, so a lot of you going, oh, they're legit, they provide a COA. The opposite, actually. If they're providing a COA, I can go on my computer and I can manufacture a COA, which is a certificate of analysis. It's just a piece of paper. Okay, it's not worth anything. It's not worth the paper it's written on, because you can create one yourself. So if they're offering a COA, that's a red flag, because if they are a legitimate research lab that are selling to scientists and to other research for actual research, not for human use, but for research, those laboratories, they've got their own testing equipment. They don't need a COA. They never ask for a COA because there's no point. They're going to test it themselves. If it comes right away out of China, that's actually a red flag too. So what seems to be, okay, that's convenient. If they're super quick, they're not selling to scientists. They're selling to people that are using it, because people, they need to, like you, whoever's watching this video, you don't want to wait a month. So if they're super quick, in processing everything, they're trying to serve a customer base. Where in the actual research community, if there's a laboratory in California or Oregon or Texas, and they're going to run research on AOD 9604, BPC 157, what you name, whatever it is. They're in no rush. They've got their research schedule planned out. They're ordering, they're not ordering one bottle. They're not ordering a kit. They're ordering hundreds of bottles because they're running tests on actual lab rats for 36, 48 weeks, 100 weeks, 2 years. So they're in no hurry to get this product fast. So the legitimate Chinese lab, they're in no hurry either because they're selling to somebody that's in no hurry. So if it takes a month, it's no big deal. So actually being speedy means that they're accommodating somebody like you versus the actual research labs that this whole space was really created for. Understand this, we're in a very temporary loophole scenario where there's FDA approved peptides that are compounded locally at a higher cost and really, really strict standards and very expensive to set up. Those peptides are a lot more expensive than out of China. What I've also found is the legit labs out of China actually sell the raw material too. So they've got a long list of the peptides that they sell, but they sell the raw materials too. So that's something that I look for, okay, when shopping around. And again, this was last year. This was like last July, last August. This is how long this process takes because we order it, takes a month for us to get it, then we start shipping to have it tested, then we have to wait for the results to come back as we're testing it on ourselves, and it's a small order of we'll just say BPC. Once we feel pretty good about that, then we'll put in a bigger order with other peptides. We're going to add tesamorelin, we're going to add Reta, terepicide, and we're going to test that shit too. I don't like terepicide, but we're going to test all that. So now we're buying 5, 6, 7, 8 kits that we're investing in. Again, it's very cheap because I want them to test across the board. Just because I get one clean test doesn't mean that everything's good. So we've gone through where we've got a 99.6% purity on BPC, but the Tessa comes in and the AOD comes in and they're at 74.5. Throw it away. You know, the whole lab's bad. I mean, if they're not consistent across the board, they're quality controlled, then can't use them. So if you're tracking with me, this takes about a year for you to identify, hey, are they really legit? And I know some people will watch this video are like, hey, you know, I buy stuff out of China and it's cheap and so far so good. So far so good. It only takes one bad batch to put you in the hospital with an infection that could kill you. So nowadays I've got my mom, my sister, my brother-in-law, my aunt, my other aunt, my uncle, my cousin. I've got family members that I love more than strangers, okay? I care about all my customers. But there's no way in the world I would give them something that could potentially make them sick. So if you're shopping for peptides, that's the time frame. If you started now and you go through these prudent steps, it'll take you damn near 9 to 12 months before. All right, I really feel pretty comfortable. So Nick and I started back late last year, and here we are. We're finding it at March going into April. Um, we have found a place in Ukraine, a place in Russia, a place in India, and we have found a place in China that we believe to be legit. Okay, because they've passed all the tests. The red flags have steered us away. We've ordered through some, we've been ripped off. We've ordered through some and they've come back as bunk. And we've gone through enough testing where it's like, okay, these are good. So again, I'm not a big fan of China in general. Let's be real. Where did COVID come from? It came from a China lab. Where does fentanyl come from? Okay. That's a huge risk, you guys. It's a huge risk. And if they do say, hey, we're going to war, I think we're at war now. Okay, I can say this on this platform. Because they're already killing Americans. Let's face it, through fentanyl. And why? Dig deeper. Why would they create fentanyl and bring it in through Mexico to kill hundreds of thousands of Americans? Is because they're not trying to. They're not. This isn't a business model for them. I mean, if you're in the selling a certain kind of whatever, and you kill your customer, then that revenue goes away. So this isn't like a oops accident deal. This is they've done this on purpose. Another experience I have with China is I was on a CPAP machine for a decade. Right at the beginning of the pandemic, I got a letter that it was a Philips device. Hey, what did they say? This product has been recalled. You can get cancer if you use it. So, if you know anything about sleep apnea and severe sleep apnea, I had obstructive sleep apnea. I woke up 147 times an hour. I mean, it was off the charts. You could die from sleep apnea. If I'm a big Tennessee football fan, if you're a football fan, you know who Reggie White is. Played for Tennessee and then went on and had a Hall of Fame career with the Eagles and the Packers. He died of sleep apnea. Okay, so when you stop breathing, that's not good. So that's how bad I was. And for them to recall this device that was out of China, you can either keep using it and get cancer, or stop using it and you might die in your sleep. And by the way, a new device is on back order. Well, guess how long that back order lasts? Over 4 years. Over 4 years. And this was China. When this is not a political conversation, but this is all relevant, is that when we rely on something out of China, they can pull it anytime, okay? So here I am saying, if you do go down the route and you find that, hey, I got this great source that's cheap, and I mean, they could pull it at any time. And if you like your peptides and you want to keep doing it for longevity reasons, weight loss, injuries, or all the reasons that we do peptides, and it takes you 9 months to find a supplier, then what? Yeah, then you have to start the process again. You're out of the game for 9 months. So anyway, guys, and this isn't a pitch to use bulldog peptides. like I said, I've been doing it for 30 years. I've got more experience than anybody. Um, I can't post this on Facebook. It'll be taken down in a minute. My account will be suspended, but I'm telling you the truth. So um, I've done all the research for you. I've made all the mistakes. I've used bad product. I've gotten an infection. I've been to the hospital. I've almost died. Um, I've lost money. I've been ripped off. I've ordered stuff that hasn't showed up. I've risked, breaking the law, I guess, when it goes through customs and gets popped there. Um, yeah, I this is where I am in my life. I'm doing this. I'm now in the peptide space full time because longer story. I really think this is my calling. I mean, there's nobody that has my story. There's nobody that has my experience. So I find myself in a world where I'm um, I'm in a unique situation. If you buy your peptides through me, then you know you're getting it through a legitimate source because it's been tested. I'm not the cheapest, and I'm not trying to take over the world. I'm not trying to kill it, crush it, scale, and make $1 million doing this. I've had some of my clients go, "Hey, I want to talk to you about the business model." Yeah, you can get in it, man, but you can't replace the 20, 30 years that I have. Shoot, you've only been taking it for 6 to 8 weeks. So, what kind of advice can you give your clients? And I've forgot more than what most people know. And, ChatGTP is a great source for researching and learning everything. I mean, AI's, taking over the world, and you can either embrace it or you can resist, but it really is an awesome tool it'll put a lot of doctors out of business. That's for shit sure. But anyway, I mean, you can get into the business. I've talked to several people for hours about this. I mean, and my friends that buy through me, and they're like, "Hey, I mean, man, I'm looking at these prices, dude. Go for it if you want to, man. Cool. I don't need anybody's business. My markup is very, very little. Okay, I don't live in a mansion. I'm not bragging about a new $80,000 truck. I don't have that. I drive a used truck. I'm not making a shit ton of money doing this. My markup is I might make $20 on a bottle, to be honest with you. And if you want to get into the business and sell peptides, go for it. I mean, you might find yourself talking to people for hours and hours and hours, and then they end up buying off of Facebook. If you want to do that, that's fine. If you're just a client of mine, just understand that sometimes, especially on small orders, and I work with people that have a lot of money and people that can barely, afford a couple $100, but I still give them my time. It could be a 30-minute conversation. It could be multiple conversations. I mean, I have to cut it off at some point. Now the direction of the video is changing, which is not my intent. But anyway, that's a little bit of my story. That's a little bit of insight and information for educational purposes on really what goes into to researching and selling peptides. There's a lot of knuckleheads here in town that will go to and buy some shit in China, and they'll turn around and resell it, and that's fine up until one person gets sick and then posts on Facebook that I took this crap from somebody and you did them harm. Okay, and that could happen. So anyway, yeah, I've got some stuff coming. I wanted to let you know that for my customers that are buying, I have looked into some other countries and are able to um, potentially here bring some of the prices down a little bit. Um, there are like 20 milligram bottles of BPC. There's 60 milligram bottles of Retta. There's 40 milligram bottles of Mott's. I might be able to make some adjustments to my pricing. There's also some really, really cool peptides that and bioregulators that that I'm able to get through these other sources. And part of my motivation is my mom. She's got cancer and she's gone through chemo. And as I started researching, peptides and some alternative medicine for her, ivermectin, fenbendazole, I'm mispronouncing that. We went to through my doctor, got a script. Thrive Pharmacy here in Mesa. They sell ivermectin for $4 a pill in their 3 milligram tabs. Obviously, they're legit. I found another source where I'm buying it 12 milligrams and cheaper. So, yeah, I sell peptides, but I'm also running into some other things that can be of value to your peptide stack, just overall health. Let's see, there's a Prostamax, which my brother had prostate cancer. He had his prostate removed. I'm in that age range. I talked to a lot of men about this. Well, there's nobody that's making that local, so that has to come from another country. And for me, that's worth the risk, I guess, a little bit. Is I will be selling that here in the very near future. There's another one, well, Sloop PP 332. That's another one that you can't find through a lot of places. That's a really super effective peptide. And look into bioregulators. Put in, now this is out of Russia, by the way. So when I say bioregulators, it's Russia. It's not China. The ivermectin is China. It is what it is. So it's like vitamin C. So worth the risk, yeah. When you're dealing when everything is on the line, and losing's not an option. Like with my mom and cancer, we're gonna throw the kitchen sink at it. So yeah, we're gonna run some ivermectin and some bendazole at some high dosages, and because if we don't, then the chemo is gonna kill her. So for most of you, it's not a life and death situation. It's just a therapeutic or fat burning journey. But for some people, it's life and death. So yeah, we'll take some more risks there. My dad had dementia. He killed himself. Okay, he committed suicide because he couldn't live with how he felt. So the bioregulators, a lot of this stuff that can, in my mind, can cure or fix dementia, perhaps Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. You're not going to find them here locally, so that's out of Russia. And then I've got it at this lab in India that they've really been a pleasure working with, and they're meeting all the standards and they're passing all the tests. So COAs, don't ask me for a COA, and here's why. Per my attorney's advice, again, we're in this research space right now, so it is legal for you to do peptides, it's legal for me to sell them, it's legal for me to use them and buy them and all that stuff. but it's for research purposes only, and it's not for human use. So if I'm providing a COA to somebody, that's putting documentation out there into the world that that I'm selling to somebody that's not using it for research. So for liability reasons, don't ask me for a COA. But if you want to go out and test your own product, go for it. Okay, again, it costs $300 to $400. It takes a little bit of time. If you're concerned about that, then you need to do your own testing. Okay, and this is just understand that this research space, it's temporary. Okay, it's a loophole, and unfortunately, what's going to bring this loophole to an end is the consumer asking for a damn COA, because people that are researchers, companies, labs, or people that are researching, they do their own testing. Does that make sense? So that this whole COA thing, it's what's going to bring this part of the industry to an end. It's at some point, and it could be by the end of the year. It could be tomorrow. So I don't need the FDA showing up at my door with a COA that I gave somebody that was using it for themselves. So I don't have my prices on my website for that reason. Too, is that again, what you're buying is not for human use, it's for research only. So there is an element of risk that you have to understand. It is the exact same stuff that you're getting through a compounding pharmacy if you go through a doctor on an FDA approved. It's the same thing. So you're just paying more there. You're just paying more there. And if that makes you comfortable, then buy there, do that. Kind of like when Viagra came out and they were like $50 a pill. There was a patent on Viagra, and as soon as that patent expired, then now you can buy them for like $1 a pill or something like that, and anybody can make them. So you kind of have to understand, some of this or all of this. And man, if I could go back and do things different. I had a really great doctor in Scottsdale that was just way ahead of things back in 2004, and I left him because it took 3 weeks to get in. He only did cash, didn't take insurance, and I tried to save $1 by going somewhere else. That's one of the biggest. I've done a lot of bad things in life, and have regrets over some stupid decisions that I make. But trying to save $1 when it comes to my body has never worked out. Okay, so for whatever that's worth, I buy better quality supplements and peptides and anabolics, and what I do is I just pay more attention. Saving $20 or saving $50 or $100 in the big scheme of things, it's worth it, because going to the hospital for a month is expensive, and my health, God only gave me one body. But anyway, now I'm rambling on like Trevor Buckmeyer. I hope I'm not an asshole like he is. I hope this video was valuable. Thank you for joining the community. Feel free to share this with your friends, bring them into the community. It was created for us to talk in a place that's not being censored. And anything that we do on Facebook through groups or whatever is really restricted to their censorship. So you want to talk about anabolics, you want to talk about hormones, you want to talk about anything peptide related. This will be a good environment and a good community to do that. And feel free to share and to post. I'm going to share information that I think might be valuable. I've consumed 600 hours of videos and podcasts and all that stuff. I know you're not going to do that, but when I say something really good that I know that you might be interested in, then I'm going to post it there. You guys can post stuff too, so don't think that it's just me peddling or trying to sell anything. And if you don't buy through me, that's okay. That's okay too. The community is the community, and want it to be supportive and in a safe place for us to grow together. So, anyway, make America healthy again. God bless you, and talk to you soon. Have an awesome day. Bye.